Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to my channel, and yeah, it's already the fourth of the first month of year 2026. I beg your pardon, for experiencing, for continuing to experience some issues with vocalizing certain sounds smoothly. But regardless, I as a matter of fact, I kind of planned to initiate another live stream. Just have some more somewhat serious talks about life, about some other shite, some other kind of trivial matters, though I suppose then after after a moment I then kind of called it off, and then decided to to kind of to make to make and to make a video in an ordinary fashion, like this, like apparently most YouTubers on YouTube like what they tend to do here on YouTube, just voicing their opinions, spitting out the grievances and complaints, rants, blah blah blah. So yeah, I just like to say during this filming session, I would like to, like I said, elaborate on certain trivial matters, and some some more phenomena I observed, and I would like to give you guys my own interpretations and analysis about them, and also on what we can learn from them, from now on, etc. Yeah. So first and foremost, I would like to I want you guys to know that in the event, or in case you are suffering a lot, in particular mentally or psychologically, or maybe on a deeper level, spiritually, say characterized by, say, lethargy, anxiety, OCD, depression, blah blah blah. You might have been those symptoms may indicate that you might have been spending too much time on the internet, on the interweb, online, say even online spaces like YouTube, as highly regulated and highly censored as it is nowadays, it can still how should I put it? It can still harbor and brew, and then in turn bring you a lot of toxicity into your life. Say, for example, you might say you might have run into some toxic people, or you might have got bullied by YouTube, some stupid and ridiculous guidelines, by having one or some of your videos taken down, or got a strike or several strikes, or receiving some highly nasty and toxic comments from some toxic and angry, grumpy, or unreasonable people, or blah blah blah. Yes, I do understand. Or in my case, I got again, I got banned. Well, I won't say banned, but at least silenced, placed on a mute by another gaming YouTuber while streaming Mass Effect trilogy. I just said something like, I do not believe in the so-called illness, ADHDs, slash the abbreviation of hyper attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, all those sort of bullshit. I just call it feminism propaganda, toxic propaganda from feminists. And I pretty much got instantly banned again, from the chat. So even if someone who may share a lot in common with you can still all of a sudden turn on you, just for something as trivial as a simple sentence, as trivial as something you have said that might have offended or made him or her maybe just slightly unhappy or uncomfortable, despite the fact that it holds true. It is the cold, harsh truth. They just don't like hearing those truths and facts. And as a result, they will just ban you without hesitating. So I'm just saying that I have similar shite similar shite happened to me even in 2024. So I pretty much got used to it. So I can't really I have pretty much anticipated and expected it to occur, to reoccur, to me, and maybe possibly in the future, to my channel, something might, I certainly do not rule out a future possibility, that something bad might happen to my channel, on YouTube in the future. I certainly can't rule out such probability or possibility, considering the fact that I tend to broadcast harsh truths and facts about life, specifically about all the injustices and unfairness we men, we lonely men tend to suffer from in this harsh and hostile and highly abominable and unfair world and evil world. So I don't so I can't really say that I have the right or the entitlement to complain or whinge about the fact that I got banned from another live stream by another YouTuber, even with whom I believe we share a lot of interests and hobbies. So I just but still I would rather not name who that is. As usual, I don't really enjoy um I don't really you know um particularly enjoy um talk um talking shit about people um behind their backs. So I just I just so instead I just share and share with you guys briefly about what exactly happened recently. um in terms of my overall experience, user experience with YouTube and blah blah blah, so on and so forth, and I beg your pardon. um I just how should I put it? Instead of I want you guys to know that instead of instead of letting anger letting anger and rage get the best of you, or get the better of you, just treat that as a planet Earth daily. It's consider that a norm, you know that occurs on planet Earth daily, on a daily basis. you know and be like I previously mentioned, be non-reactive. um yeah, so but on the other hand, you can make good use of your rage, of your wrath, of your anger onto something more constructive, more positive, more productive. Instead, say working on self-improvement, making money, getting in a better shape, better physique, and building real, robust, reliable, and long-lasting, if not lifetime, friendships and or companionships, and in and or brotherhood. But I do understand that on the other hand, nowadays true friends just don't come so easily. I doubt even back in the old days, during the pre cov the pre during the pre pre great coughing great coughing era or era, in British posh accent. Even back then, friends, true friends, don't come so easily. Not to mention nowadays, nowadays, the vast majority of the human population on planet Earth have unfortunately turned into pure NPCs with loads of malicious intent and toxicity and blah blah blah. Beg your pardon. It is just an unfortunate fact. But yeah, I guess it is more or less bound to happen, and that shouldn't knock you down. And even if you do get knocked down, due to depression, despair, loneliness, I just want you guys to know that you are not alone, not at all. At least you have another another dude to whom you can pretty much speak to anytime you wish, even if I failed to reply or attend to your messages on the Discord. You can feel free to send me an email or blah blah blah. Yes, my email address is Francis undead bug lord at gmail.com. In case I failed to attend or reply to your messages on Discord, feel free to drop me an email. And in the event that you have something. Something I won't call it something like any emergency, but just in case you have something that you would like to share or talk about in private, as as a brother from another mom, I welcome you guys all with open arms. Yeah, since I don't I myself don't really have or I should say not not that many true friends to talk to, to speak with about something sensitive and private, blah blah blah. So yeah, but still, yeah. I beg your pardon, but yeah. What else? Yeah. So just as I've said in the beginning of this video, of this filming session, maybe in order to reduce, to mitigate your suffering, your depression, perhaps you should try your best or best to spend less time on YouTube online, and instead focus on on things non I beg your pardon, non digital, say reading books, going, say, paying a visit physically to a certain place, to a place of interest, say a local supermarket, to just check, to just say film a video, or check out your current the price fluctuations, price fluctuations at your local grocery stores or shops, say a supermarket, blah blah blah, and or just take a look around and see if you can spot something new, something something at least marginally exciting, something that might help you make a breakthrough or multiple breakthroughs in the near future. And yes, I can pretty much somewhat proudly say that I did manage to make I won't say a major breakthrough, but at least something I can call a breakthrough, a tangible breakthrough, back in late 2025, namely mid October. I finally breached the darkness pretty much on my own, but of course I have God and you guys and some other folks to express my gratitude, towards I at least, yes, I did manage to breach the darkness, and paid Hong Kong another visit for some business, and made some new discoveries along the way. And so on the other hand, how should I put it? Just pick your friends, your allies very carefully, especially nowadays. Exercise extreme level and amount of caution while you pick your friends and or allies or partners, say in terms of business or sexual partners, blah blah blah. Just keep your eyes peeled, and look for red flags, but also in the meantime look for red flags within yourselves. What it say for example, whatever shite happened, always first and foremost examine yourselves, put yourselves under scrutiny to examine whether you have done something wrong or something, say, illogical or unreasonable, and if that's not the case, then you can then perhaps lay blames on someone else or something else, blah blah blah, but just so you know that I beg your pardon. Red flags are everywhere nowadays. Not just other people, but we ourselves can also carry loads of red flags. Though I'm not saying that a red flag or several red flags should stop you from making friends or forging an alliance with certain folks. Not at all. On the contrary, it shouldn't. They shouldn't prevent or deter you from from making physical contacts with other people face to face. After all, nobody is an island. Nobody is completely isolated. Even hiding in my room, Danny himself has to kind of make some contacts with some other folks in order to make a living. Though I am not going to comment further on how he lives and how he should live his life from now on, during this filming session, blah blah blah. Since I did something similar already in one or in at least two of my previous videos already. So yeah, so I beg your pardon. Yeah, so what else have I might I have overlooked? I beg your pardon. For my intermittent stuttering. Yeah, if you guys can excuse me for my stuttering as usual. Yeah, I will much appreciate. I will much appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Just so you know that in order to reduce, in order to mitigate, to alleviate your level of suffering and afflictions, just try do your best to to spend less time online on the interweb, namely and particularly on social media, including but are not limited to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFoods, LinkedIn, your asshole, blah blah blah. Though I'm not saying that you should completely stop using them. You can use them in a profitable and productive manner, rather than spending too much time on those social media and other places, or even dark corners on the interweb, just to soothe your loneliness and blah blah blah. Like I said, yes, try to instead spend more time on non digital hobbies, say studying and collecting coins, reading books, going out to places of interest, to either to film some videos or to check out the latest status of those places and its associated people, blah blah blah, or or both, or blah blah blah. Yeah. So and I believe you guys certainly know a lot more ways than I do to spend when it comes to spending quality times with quality people in quality places, in a non digital fashion, not in by abstaining from the from social media, say YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFans, blah blah blah, but instead focus on building true and real friendships, connections with people you can trust and count on. Yeah. What else? Just so you know that people, your true friends and those, you love and care about, and those that reciprocate, that gladly and keenly and or and and truthfully reciprocate your love and care will not last forever. And possibly you can also adopt such approach, implement such mindset, when you see, a lovely and loving couple walking on the street, passing by you, you can adopt such mindset, so that you don't spend much time envying them or even hating them, but instead focus on fostering and growing and nurturing your own inner peace and strength. And prioritize on on self-improvement, and in turn positively influence people around you, people who who have associations with you, one way or another, either virtually or physically or both. Yeah, I suppose that's pretty much all I can spit out from my twisted and chaotic brain for the moment. And yeah, I also need to grab something to eat, since I pretty much only had one meal for this day. But don't pity me that much, since I've still got some biscuits, so I'll just grab and swallow some of them. And practice some more semi fasting. Yeah, but still, yes, I suppose I shall resume 2 meals for tomorrow, and then then go semi fast on the following day. And yeah, in case but judging by by the amount of money I have, I might just have to surrender to that wicked woman who never stops persecuting me. I don't know, but let's hope that God the Almighty Jesus Christ sends me more help. Yeah, I just don't want to burden you guys, but certainly, yes, I will certainly much appreciate it if you guys can consider taking a look at my Buy Me a Coffee page for more exclusive knowledge base and contents on numismatics, numismatics, and so on, and life hacks for digital nomads and MGTOWs, blah blah blah. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you have learned, or at least found something useful from this video. And yeah, in case well, if God's still willing, see you around on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble.com, Patreon, BuyMeACoffee.com, etc. And yeah, so until next time, if God's still willing, see you around. Stay out of trouble and stay far from weak. Bye. Cheers. Good day and good night. Thank you very much for watching.